Biological structures are the foundation of all life as we know it. At every level of organization, from the smallest molecules to entire ecosystems, these structures are specialized to perform specific functions. This is true for both the smallest living units, cells, and for entities that challenge our very definition of life, viruses. To understand the differences between viruses and cells, and how viruses spread and cause disease, we need to dive into their structures, functions, and behaviors. Let's begin with cells. Cells are the basic units of life, and they come in two broad types: prokaryotic cells like bacteria and eukaryotic cells, which include plant, animal, and fungal cells. Despite their diversity, all cells share certain features. They have a cell membrane, a protective barrier that controls what enters and exits. Inside the cell is cytoplasm, a jelly-like substance where important cellular processes occur. Most cells also contain genetic material in the form of DNA, which serves as instructions for growth, reproduction, and survival. In eukaryotic cells, this DNA is housed within a nucleus, a distinct membrane-bound structure. Cells are living entities. They take in nutrients, convert them into energy, grow, and reproduce. They also respond to their environment, maintaining a stable internal state known as homeostasis. Cells work together in tissues, organs, and systems to carry out the complex functions that sustain life in multicellular organisms. Now let's compare this to viruses. Viruses are fascinating but fundamentally different from cells. For starters, viruses are not considered living organisms. They are much smaller than even the smallest cells and lack the machinery to carry out basic life processes. A virus is essentially a particle, composed of genetic material, either DNA or RNA, enclosed in a protein shell called a capsid. Some viruses also have an outer lipid envelope, which helps them infect host cells. Unlike cells, viruses cannot generate energy, grow, or reproduce on their own. Instead, they are entirely dependent on a host organism. Once a virus enters a suitable host, it hijacks the host's cellular machinery to make copies of itself. This parasitic relationship is the key to understanding how viruses spread and cause disease. So how does a virus infect a host? The process begins with attachment. The virus recognizes and binds to specific molecules on the surface of a host cell. This is often a highly specific interaction. Only certain viruses can infect certain cells or organisms. Once attached, the virus injects its genetic material into the host cell or, in some cases, the entire virus particle is engulfed by the cell. Next comes the takeover. The viral genetic material redirects the host cell's machinery to produce viral proteins and replicate the viral genome. These components are assembled into new virus particles. Finally, the new viruses exit the host cell, often destroying it in the process. This release can happen through lysis, where the cell bursts open, or by budding, which occurs when viruses leave the cell individually without causing immediate destruction. The newly released viruses then go on to infect additional cells, and the cycle continues. This rapid multiplication is why viral infections can spread so quickly. It also explains why some viruses cause significant harm. They can destroy host cells at a fast rate, overwhelming tissues and organs. But how do viruses spread between hosts? The answer depends on the type of virus. Some, like the flu virus, spread through respiratory droplets when an infected person coughs or sneezes. Others, like the norovirus, are transmitted through contaminated food or water. Certain viruses, such as those that cause dengue or Zika, rely on vectors like mosquitoes to jump from one host to another. Once inside a new host, the virus begins its infectious cycle again, leading to a wide range of symptoms. These symptoms often arise from the immune system's attempts to fight off the infection. Fever, inflammation, and fatigue are common responses, as the body works to eliminate the virus. In some cases, however, the immune response itself can cause damage, contributing to the severity of the disease. One of the most effective ways to combat viruses is through vaccination. Vaccines train the immune system to recognize and respond to specific viruses without causing illness. By exposing the body to a harmless form of the virus, such as an inactivated particle or a piece of its genetic material, vaccines help build immunity. This means that if the real virus enters the body, the immune system can neutralize it quickly, preventing infection or reducing its severity. In contrast to viruses, cells do not rely on a host to survive and replicate. They perform their functions independently or as part of a larger organism. This fundamental difference highlights why viruses are not classified as living organisms. They cannot carry out life processes without assistance. To summarize, while cells and viruses share some structural similarities, such as the presence of genetic material, their differences are profound. Cells are the building blocks of life, capable of energy production, growth, and self-replication. Viruses, on the other hand, are tiny infectious agents that depend entirely on host cells for reproduction. By hijacking the machinery of living cells, viruses spread and cause diseases, often with devastating effects. Understanding the distinctions between cells and viruses is crucial, not only for appreciating the complexity of life but also for combating viral infections. It underscores the importance of prevention strategies like vaccines and hygiene and highlights the intricate balance between biological structures, functions, and processes that affect all life.